Word.
On a recruiting visit.
Be a feature, right?
I'm gonna share some stuff. I'm gonna share some stuff. Intro. That's man. I was just reflecting earlier today about just our connection, man. And so it's been very instrumental. Microphone check 1 2. What is this? This is B Michael here with Shifting Paradigmz Business. We're live. Oh, let me turn that down. I got my own thing playing too. Okay, I'm gonna share that. But yeah, we're here, Shifting Paradigmz on KUAW Radio, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom Radio, brought to you by the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. Bobby G on the ones and twos, always holding it up and keeping it down. So always shout out to him. Got a special via Zoom guest tonight, man. Very special to me, you know what I'm saying? The brother from another mother of mine. I'm gonna get into that shortly. But you all want to know Shifting Paradigmz. We're all about stimulating critical thought in order to realistically redefine our narrative and positively reshape our reality through dialogue with self-determination. Today is, of course, nationally known as MLK Day, so probably bringing some of that even into the scope. But our show tonight is called Survival Paradigmatics. And my guest tonight, the first guest of 2022, is a brother, man. I was just talking with him about it, who I've known since 1992. We met on our recruiting visit at the University of Maine, where we went on to play football. And it's so funny that night, brother, you was like, yo, when we left, he was like, yo, you better sign. I better see you here next year. And the first person that I see when I get to camp in 1993 is you. You know what I'm saying? And so this is my brother, man, that has been a huge, I was telling him, a journeyman of mine in terms of really getting into the introductions of art. Your freestyles back in the day, your lyrics that you would write was a huge influence on me, poetically, lyrically. So, man, that was huge. And then, our journey spiritually, man, when we was listening to Nas and Wu-Tang and Black Moon and the Roots, and we was just, traveling. We would travel too, you know what I'm saying? And so it was a huge introduction into my world of consciousness, into my world of art. And so to my listeners, the Shifting Paradigmz here, I want to introduce to you all my brother, man. This is Uriah El-Ayash Ben Israel. So if you want to take a moment, man, introduce yourself, who you are, where you from, what you about, and we'll get into some things as this show proceeds.
Blessing everyone. Fire, Uriah. I'm originally born in Jamaica. I'm a countryman from Samatan, still listen to me, I say. Lived in many places. When I left Jamaica, I was a Florida man, then I was a Brooklyn man, then I was a Jersey man. So, I traveled and take little movements, and, throughout those journeys, I come across the path to be blessed and meet a couple people. My brother Michael happened to be one of them that I was blessed to come across. As he mentioned, I freestyle, write music, I do poetry, just being creative, just being artistic and, creative. But one thing we always had in common was always questioning things and always asking questions. And that was something that I always respected. So when the brother reached out, it was definitely my pleasure to be able to have this opportunity to sit down and have these conversations.
No doubt. And so, it's been 5 years since we last sat down on air and did an interview, but I definitely wanted to catch up with you today. And today we're going to be talking about survival paradigmatics. So can you kind of frame why you wanted to get into this particular vein in our conversation, and what some of the, points you want to raise as we'll get more in depth in it. But what brought you to be like, you know what, this is what we need to talk about? Why do you feel we need to talk today about survival paradigmatics?
Because I mean, if everybody see what's going on in the world around us, I mean, for you not to focus on the survival of our people to survive, then I really don't know exactly what your focus would be on. There's a lot that's going on, a lot of misinformation, a lot of people that are confused, a lot of people that lost a lot of people over the past 2 years. During that time, some people didn't really get to say their final goodbyes and ways like that. So, it's a lot of changes, a lot of things going on. We hear a lot of catchphrases and resets and everything else that everybody's talking about. But at the end of the day, one thing I always wanted to focus on, and I know there's other people that's doing this, but focusing on like-minded people getting together and being in an area where they're in close proximity of each other. Because as times change, you need to be around people that is like-minded, and to be able to protect yourself, not only protect yourself, but protect your family as well. So that's something that I think is very important.
Right. And so what experiences have you had that has really brought this more of an urgency to you? Like what do you feel like you've gone through that will lend to, like, making sure that what you're doing is viable, and then even what you want to share with our listeners is also viable? Not to say that, I know the cred, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, when people hear people talk, it's like, so what do you base all this on? Like, what foundation do you have that will lend to this, to make people like, that makes absolute sense, and I see where he's coming from? Like, what can you share about your experience that would, bolster this podcast?
I mean, far as survival, I've always thought of myself as a person that's always surviving, just from my background. That's just how I've always been. I mean, those people that really know me really per se. I'm not really one person that's the most public person that's to share every intricate parts of my life to anybody, because I also know that I'm not the most trusting person as well. So, but as having experiences in life, things we've experienced, even while I was in school, coming across before I even got to college, things in high school, things that I came across and things that I've experienced, losing friends to police brutality, there's just different things that shape you and see you. And when you grew up around an era where the music and things like that express the struggles of the people, it was kind of a different time where you have that you have those different artists that would express different things that and you would cover a wide spectrum. But now it's more of, it's more of dumbing down music. It's more of demonic music. It's more of, nothing to uplift the people, and nobody addressing exactly what's, what we're going on, and with this shift that's taking place right now. So, my experiences from friends from high school, rest in peace, Philip C. Pennell. My first time when I realized that hate was real, like I heard about hate and see it, and, you hear about it, but first time when you realize that hate is real and you hear cops coming out their mouth to like a 14-year-old boy coming out your face and talking reckless, it makes you realize, you open your eyes and you start seeing things like, okay, it's not just, what you hear, but now when you experience it firsthand, it's different. So that shapes the way you move and you start seeing things. Because if you're not a person that look back at history and see, today's Dr. King Day to be being peaceful, you look back and you see, but then you look back and you also look at it like, wow, was that like a right decision for our people? Because as a people, I would say we were more together. Family units were more together. Economically, in a better place, we were more unified. So, I mean, it's a lot. It's
No
really,
doubt.
it's a lot, but my experiences basically shaped the way I think, and I'm always a person that's always willing to hear somebody else's perspective. Being that I don't have all the answers, I haven't have all the experiences in life, but based off of my experience, somebody might view it like this kid he's nuts or whatever. But that's based off my experience that I'm basing it on. So as all being individuals, we all have these different experiences, and that's what creates how we see this, this realm that we're currently in.
Yeah. So with society, right? And you mentioned a couple things. What do you see as the way that we've come to this point? You talk about how hip hop has been completely co-opted, right? You talk about this. Do you look at that as something that's intentionally done in an effort to thwart and to sabotage the people? Or do you think this is just something that has just been an outgrowth? Do you feel like where we are, even in terms of our political position, in terms of our awareness politically, do you think this is something that is done intentionally to dumb people down, or do you think this is something that is done that just just the nature of the evolution of humanity in terms of where we have arrived? Or is this something that has been shaped? And why would you say that? Either way.
I think it's definitely been shaped in the sense that the people that are responsible for putting out the content, or whether they're at the labels or whether they're at the radio stations or the DJ, whatever the case may be, that put out the music, the type of music that's put out is not the same. Now, hearing about meetings from, different people, and hearing about meetings that certain industry people who are influential had, when they understand, if you think about the time Public Enemy, different type of music where it was political as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the strength of the people and seeing the shift and seeing that, okay, these people really are talking about real life, everyday things that people can relate to.
Right.
And having that powerful voice to be able to influence people. I believe it was strongly used against the people because they understood the power that we had. So I'm like, why use it? If I could weaponize this and I could start having everything straight gangster, right? Everything is weaponized. You don't have the variety anymore where you have a choice. Everything is forced down your throat. I mean, it is definitely shaped.
Yeah.
There's some artists that I would love to still hear. I would love to see KRS out more, hear more of KRS. Like, I mean, I would love to, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that people don't understand with the connection with from ancestors in the older generation where we have to keep that connection. And it seems like that bond's been broken to where we don't communicate.
Yeah.
We don't share these experiences so that we don't go and make the same mistakes. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a time right now where people have to really just see what's going on and understand that those actions from back then have led to now. It's not something that just happened overnight. These are things that's been, put in place, and everybody share everything on social media. Everybody share everything right now. The way it is right now, there's nothing private anymore. You know what I mean? So, if I'm looking at some dog food real quick and I'm looking at something on the internet, then I come on Instagram or something else, I'm seeing the advertisement for what I was looking for. It's crazy. So it's like it's a different time right now. The influence of what you do. So the voices, the constant images that you may see once you turn on these social media. So it's programming. It's all programming.
It is. And I wanted to kind of go back and I wanted to preface or disclaim, because conspiracy, people hear the word conspiracy and they go, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. You know what I'm saying? And we know, from when we were 18 years old and we was listening to the music, and then we started doing our research and stuff and reading up on this stuff, we was connecting dots then. Like, man, this stuff is crazy. And so a lot of people have a hard time making those connections, though. I won't say a lot. There are people who are not able to really make that connection and see the historical connection, to see, the cultural connections that are present. What do you feel as relates to survival? Because this is now about mental, survival. and spiritual survival that translates to the physical survival. But to make these connections, how would you encourage someone to really see what's going on behind the scenes? Because I know, there's people who don't have time to even think about that kind of stuff, and things just fly by them. You know what I'm saying? How can you encourage someone in an effort to preserve, their well-being, to take a deeper look, to go beyond just the surface and see what's beneath?
It's just a way of thinking, a way of living where you question everything. I remember when I would stand in front of my students the same way, I would tell them the same thing, to question even me.
Yes.
I mean, you don't question and you don't critically analyze things and you just go off based off what somebody's telling you.
Right.
Sometimes people have an agenda as to why they're telling you that information.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, some people can go based off of, intuition or how you feel and the vibration, the frequency of being around a person. But sometimes you can't just, you can't pick up off of that alone. You know what I mean? So I don't have all the answers per se, but I would tell people to question everything. Look at the reasons behind it. Look at history and see what is the history. To see what happened to the last generation. Yes, are there anything that are similar? Or you see us being targeted in a certain way of thinking, to where you can't even communicate because, like you say, it was looked at as conspiracy. Not really conspiracy. A lot of things that was stated as conspiracy now today is not conspiracy at all.
Right. It's crazy. So it's crazy.
It's crazy.
So
just question everything.
Question everything. And you mentioned you have a teaching a background, and one of the things that we know is there, but it's such a prevalent problem that is sometimes like really under analyzed, and that's the school to prison pipeline, right? And I know this is a passion of yours in terms of really seeking ways to create other pipelines besides the school to prison pipeline. Like what is it to you that is the significant issue with the school to prison pipeline, and how can we go about redirecting that particular flow?
See, once school is a corporation, it's a regular business now. Okay, they're looking at numbers, just like they use the numbers to determine statistic later on for whatever they may want to determine, right? What I see is that it was a little different when we were younger, to where I think kids was held at they were held more responsible for actions. What I see right now is like they're allowing certain things to take place, and then things are not necessarily publicized until something really bad happens. Because at the end of the day, they're pacified because they need the numbers. How it's set up is you get a certain amount of federal funding. So if it's attached to the funding, you got to have certain numbers in there certain times, right? So, you can't have too many of them out because it looks a certain way for perception. But at the end of the day, really, what is it about? Is it just about perception, or are you just going to, not saying that because, there's different situations and everything doesn't necessarily have to be one type of way of dealing with a situation. You deal with a situation or a child, individually. But there are certain standards or certain things that should be held. Basically, if any, far as development of the child, far as teaching them consequences before they leave the building to be outside, to have to deal with law enforcement and deal with other things outside. So you teach them consequences, and then you hold them accountable to that. But from what I've seen, it's a change now to where it's more of just making sure that the kids are in the building, and not necessarily a lot of time the information or the education across. Because when you think about it, it's designed for these kids to think and to question things, to be a robot and to be a worker. You're not going. They don't teach you certain things in school to develop you to come out and be successful. If you think about some of the things that you were taught in school and how you apply it to your daily life, you rarely do.
Right.
Like how about identifying these kids? What are the things that they like doing, and start putting these kids into different areas? How about the trades that used to be in schools? What happened to kids working with their hands? Why is everything is geared toward just one system, even though that it's not It's not
Right.
set the same way. You have kids that are, especially with this pandemic that occurred. You have kids that were in different grades before. They were maybe in 3rd grade, and then now all of a sudden they're in 5th grade. Or you had kids that was in 4th grade, now they're in 6th grade, and they're sitting at home. Those are maybe logged on who didn't log on. So now what's happening? They're falling further behind. So what do you think happens when they go back to school as far as the behavior and all the issues and other things that's gonna take place? So it's,
Right.
I mean, like I said before, everything is thought out well.
Very well.
It doesn't just happen. And maintaining what looks to be is maintained order is actually creating chaos that later on you're going to reap the benefit and see it. Because what's happening is you have these kids that's falling behind as far as academically, right? The socially, people were social distancing, not interacting with people. So what about the social development aspect?
Right.
Right?
Right.
You got them in school now. Wearing a mask, breathing in the carbon dioxide, right? Which is supposed to be a waste, right? So what's that doing? Depleting the oxygen in your blood, right? Okay. But this is what you have them doing here. So, I mean, when I tell you, it's kind of like the biggest thing we really got to do is get land. And when we get land, we can have our own to where you can do what you need to do. Because right now, if you're relying on the people who are setting these rules, which makes no damn sense, that's basically harming these kids. You're harming a generation of kids. And it's by design. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't like the way it's set up, because I think we could do a better job of it. And I think we could incorporate and bring back coding. Like, you should put that in schools from the same way you give the curriculum and you teach like the science from 3rd grade all the way to 8th grade. You could start teaching coding from those lower grades the same way. You could focus 1 year basically just teaching the language, get them familiar with it. You know what I mean? There's different things that could be done. So
yeah.
So it's like until you control your own, where you can make those decisions, you know what I'm saying? It's really like you just hoping that you find the right place or right situation where somebody's going to really do what they say they're going to do, you know, really trying to make those changes. You know what I mean? But
right.
It's definitely by design.
And, you know, I want to get to some things you had mentioned in there. You know, we'll talk about, you know, this pandemic, you call it, very shortly. But one of the things I've noticed is the similarity between the school system and the prison system in terms of how the structure of the building is, the way things proceed throughout the course of the day. Do you see those parallels? And if so, like, can you get into that some more?
I mean, they've even brought in to where you have, I guess, utility officers now in every school. So you have an officer president in the school now. Not that the officer president of the school actually do nothing. Some of them just stand there and look there and just look around, basically. You know, may do a little paperwork, but it's like you can see the structure set up in the same way. You know, it's like you eating the same mess hall that they eating. I mean, if you look at the walls, some of the walls, it's like, you know, it doesn't look like a place of learning. You know, it's working on. I know where I was, the last place where I was, they're working on fixing some of that beautification and all that. But at the end of the day, it's not about the fluff. You have some. It might look pretty, but at the end of the day, what's being done every day? Like, what's getting done? And a lot of times, when I see it, like, it's more corporate now. It's like it's not like student based, individual people based. Right. You know, everything is these test scores. And everything is designed towards a test that you're not going to use once you get out. Like I said, again, it's not something that you're ever going to use. So how about teaching me how to lay pipe or something? Teach me how to do something that I could apply and get out when I get out and have a job.
Right.
You know, but
instead of standardizing me, you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
But that's the key. You know, you talk about the corporate aspect of it. These are the feeders to either the criminal justice system, or, you know, the multinational corporations, you know.
And if you look at it now, it's so big on the administrative level to where they can cut down the administrative level. It's not like when we were in school where we had a principal and a vice principal. They have this dean for this, they have this for that, they have this position for this position. And you think about these people that are getting a paycheck, right?
Substantial.
That money could be used resources to educate those students, which is the main purpose why you have a job in the first place, which you're supposed to be there doing. Okay. But it's like it gets crazy to where if you think about it, how it's set up in that structure, like, okay, why do you need that many chiefs? Like, you have your chief, but you have so many different positions to where it's an administrative to where you can use that by having somebody extra say in the classroom. You could pay
Right, give
somebody
me some more parents.
you know what I mean? Get some parents get involved and do something. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do incentives to encourage them to want to be involved. Because at the end of the day, be honest with you, it starts at home.
There you go.
It doesn't matter what goes on. It starts at home. If you don't have your mindset that you're trying to do your work, it doesn't matter what the teachers say. And if it's not encouraged at home to make sure that you're handling your business, it's not going to happen.
Right.
You got to have that intrinsic desire to want to,
right.
And not everybody wants to. Which is the thing, your key is, as you as a person presenting the information, the key for you is to try to make it fun to where they enjoy that experience, to where it's relatable to real life. Because what's the point of me sitting here we having this conversation where I'm teaching you a concept, but yet you can't see how that concept could be applied to real life. Like, why am I wasting your time?
Right. It's not transferable. That's deep. What was your relationship like with the parents of the students you work with? Were they involved and engaged? Or what was your experience like with that?
It all depends. I've had some really good parents that were really involved. And then I had some that weren't really involved. I worked in mostly so-called urban schools. So where I have a lot of it has to do with, mom has to work. She got to do what she needs to do. So sometimes it's creating more of a headache if I'm reaching out to mom trying to get her to, leave work or to do something else right now when she's focusing on bringing that money home so that lights could be on in the house, So that goes back to the structure of the family. Because, if it's set up in a way where the families where the mom and dad comes in, or, there's that relationship where they communicate, it's a lot easier to reach out to somebody, and the thing is, everybody know their child. It doesn't matter what school system you're in, everybody know your child. If your kid's going to go there and be motivated to want to learn or not. Okay. Because you can pick up on how the kid is at home, with characteristics, how the kid is with everything else. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it starts with encouraging. We understand not every kid is going to be like, say, college material, college prep, right? So that's when you put those trades in place. That's when you put those trades in place where kids could have those experiences and find other ways to have confidence, and develop, other than continue to fail, without that specific support system. So, you know what I mean? So definitely, man.
That's
definitely.
Powerful. Thank you for that, brother. And so you had mentioned, these smash, inhaling this carbon dioxide, these mandates on vaccines, and you called it a pandemic. So what's your take on this whole COVID-19 to 22 present, circumstance that the world finds itself in? Like, what do you perceive is going on?
Everybody can see that actually this is something that was coordinated. This is something that was planned out. All right. I've seen.
What about those who don't see that? Like, how can you tell someone that don't see that this was coordinated? Because there's heads that, may not even think in that particular light.
They've seen Bill Gates interviews. If they haven't, then go look up Bill Gates interviews from about 2018, 2019, and hear from his mouth himself.
Right.
All right. They can go back and look it up themselves. Like, I come across so much information because I'm a person that's always looking for information. Like, that's just me. Because I want to know why people are saying this, or why this is the belief. Like, okay, when you hear it coming from their mouth, what the plan is, and that there is a population issue, right? Where we need to reduce some numbers, right? What do you think they're gonna do? They talk about doing it with the vaccines. I mean, it's not like I'm making it up or I just heard it somewhere on the internet, something though. He said it himself coming out of his mouth. So, this is something that's planned, and you can see those who were successful, those who made money over that time.
By the billions.
Just look at follow the money. Who was successful over that time period when everybody else was suffering?
Truthfully. And historical precedents. You know, I can see if this was not something that had not taken place historically. I mean, you look at the polio vaccine in Africa, you look at the Tuskegee syphilis experiment in Tuskegee, Alabama, you know, and especially as African people in the diaspora, you know, we got to definitely take a critical approach to it. And people are going to be convicted, you know, in their own hearts, and that's fine, you know what I'm saying? But we have to understand critical thought and how all this weighs into our collective reality, because that's something else we got to really take into account. Our collective reality. Yeah, my reality is my reality, but it's a part of something. You know what I'm saying? So how do you go about connecting these dots for those people? Like what types of, and you mentioned the interviews, you mentioned, you know, these types of things. How do we protect ourselves now with all this stuff here in the open? Because I'm amazed at the commercials, bro. Like I don't even turn on the TV, but every commercial that comes on the television, it's encouraging you.
I mean, they don't. You can tell based on every commercial, like, you know, like we ain't supposed to have black couples no more because you don't see them no more. They don't come in commercials no more. If they come in commercials, you don't see that no more. That's not something that, you know, that's not something that they're encouraging at all. You know what I mean? But I'm not trying to save anybody. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've put a lot of time, a lot of information that I'll share, but it's like I'm not really trying to save anybody, because at the end of the day, everybody at this late time and where we are, this time where we are right now, if you are not aware of what's happening and you don't feel as though there should be some action taken to I'm saying at the end of the day, one day we all gotta go. But as a collective people, you're telling me, you're seeing what's happening. It's blatant, it's in your face. But you still won't unify as a collective. Why don't we have our own land somewhere? Why don't we have our own school set up? Why aren't we growing our own food? That's important. Do you know, I mean, what their scientists is putting inside foods now? You know why Bill Gates probably bought all them acres of land? You heard of Monsanto? You know, what do you think they're putting in our food?
Everywhere, bro.
I mean, we got to grow our own food, and we got to get to the point where we can grow our food as neighbors, and we could trade food with each other.
Right.
Right. With each other. I mean, I can't tell nobody really what to do, because at the end of the day, if I was able and had the ability to have 100 acres of land, I'd be farming and living off the land.
Right.
10 acres, 20 acres, I'd be living off the land. And I would want like-minded people around me. You have 50 acres, you living on that land by yourself. How you gonna be able to work the land, protect the land?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Actually utilize and use the land, like
cultivate.
It's a waste. So for me having, say, a certain amount of money and having all this amount of land and just sitting on it just to say I have this amount of land, at the end of the day, what am I doing? Like, we all got to go. Like, what are you going to be remembered as when we leave here? What did you do to try to change this for us as a collective? Not for me, our individual self, but as a collective. What have we done as a collective?
Right.
And I mean, not everybody's going to think like that, because you know, we have people that look exactly like me and you that'll be the same reason why it's a downfall of his brother right next to him. You look at brothers like Nipsey, and you look at brothers like Dolph and all that craziness, and you see, like, this is crazy. Brothers who's trying to do something in the community
and uplift the community.
Uplift, not just break down the community. I mean, they use the music and they use everything to make money off of it. But here you have artists who, even though some of the music might be whatever, it is what it is. It's a reflection of what's happening, but they're giving back to the community. And these are the people that you want to take out. So that's telling me that we got agents that look just like me and you, that somebody will be like, here's a couple of dollars, that your life is valued, that money that really has no value since 1933. You want to kill your brother over that, or so you can be able to get a little shine or whatever you call it? What is those? A little punch on the little button, little thumbs, a little punch on it. That's what you're worth. That's what your people's worth. So when it goes to show, it's like we got to start thinking more as a collective, man. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be everybody because not everybody thinks like that. So you find your particular tribe that thinks like that, and you create that community to where you can live how you want to live. Because at the end of the day, we're all flesh and blood.
And our time is limited. Our time is very limited. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Yeah, man. That's powerful, brother. That's powerful. So what do you do to keep your health at an optimal? Like what type of diet, what type of supplements, you know, are there anything that you do particularly? Or, you know, how do you keep yourself blessed?
Rasta, I'm the pork. Not touch me fuck.
Yeah.
Yo, not touching meat, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't eat as much. I had a time back, and you know how when we played football, we ate just to eat and working out. We getting
right,
just to get thick, eat just to eat. I don't eat just to eat no more. It's like a couple of years ago, like stop eating meat. But then I didn't eat just to eat anymore. I just ate when I needed it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like you kind of change the way I think about food. You know what I mean? And vegetables, drink a lot of water, try to drink a lot of water. And I ain't gonna front. I've been on this for a couple of years, my man. It's these bittersweet herbals, bro. I stayed with my herbals, my detox.
Righteous.
You dig? And it's like, we have so many people in our community that are healers, that have natural things that we can be putting in our bodies. And, you know, we still want to go eat that fast food and eat that. And, you know, and then you wonder why your body breaks down. And you look at some of the 70s, 80s babies, and you look like them like, damn, they look like they're 32. You wonder why, God, what they do. It's what you're putting in your body. You know what I mean? And you got to think about it. The water that we drinking, if you're drinking it from the pipe, you know that ain't right. You heard about Flint, right?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's not isolated. That is not isolated.
Not isolated at all. Best believe it's not. Then you got to think about the chemtrails that they sprayed to try to cover the sun. You wonder why they're covering the sun. The metals that's in the sky. You think about the food that's processed that don't have the nutrients. And this is what the stuff that you're eating, and you don't get to, you know, replace it. So you gotta try your very best, man. And just you are what you eat, bro. You are what you eat. And I'm not perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not perfect. I've been fell off a couple of times, but it's that focus of understanding what it's about, your health. Your baby's around. I want to be around my babies. You understand what I'm saying? And I want optimum health. Like, I'm not gonna be an easy fall. If we're gonna dance a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's like we gotta think about that every day. Like, okay, am I putting the right things in my body? Am I exercising? You know what I mean? Yes. And just being active, really. You ain't gotta even be every day lifting heavy weights. Because I don't lift heavy weights no more.
Right, 100%.
Not main no more. I'm not tackling nobody.
Right.
I ain't got to worry about Dante Culpepper or none of that no more.
You know what I mean? Right.
Nah, not that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't need to be lifting all heavy. It's just to keep your joints right and to be able to be active and move around. So, man, it's just what you eat, man, you know? Yeah. And finding the right things to put inside your body. That's all, my brother.
And, you know, information too, brother, you know, information, entertainment, what we are allowing to enter into our gates is vital for our preservation. You know, what music are you listening to? Like, you brought that up. This music is so demonic, bro, and it's infecting people. It's mental side, it's spirit side, you know, it's just crazy.
I still listen to my Bob Marley. I still listen to me Peter Tosh. You see me, I said, I still listen to me Buju Banton. You see me, I said, I still listen to Sizzler. You see me, I said, like, I listen to
Time.
I mean, one of them, I mean, like, I listen to them vibes. I listen to old school hip hop. I listen to Nas. You know what I mean? I listen to dudes who make you think. You know what I mean? Like if you're not stimulated, it's like I can't listen to you. You know what I mean? So
Man,
I mean, there's some good
new
music. I'm not gonna lie though. My son put me on a couple of new dudes that I probably would never listen to. I was like, it's all right. Like even that
shout
dude,
out to Garvey.
that little ex dude back in the day here put me on it. And I was like, this dude was talking. I heard him talking about, the frequency and the manipulation of the frequency and how you can even use the frequency of the sound to be able to control the audience. And I'm like, yo, that's deep from a young, you know what I mean? So when you hear young dudes thinking like that, you're like, yeah, I might not vibe with everything that you're saying, but you're thinking, son. I hear you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's the music, man. It's good vibration music. Good vibration music. And it's usually the older stuff. You know, I might still turn on my Anita Baker, you know what I say? Hear that good vibration, that good music. Right. You need that.
So Mary J. Well, that My Life album, bro, that mug spoke so deep to us. You remember that?
My Life, man. I can't tell how many times we play that CD, bro. Like that, man. That was always knocking, bro.
Yeah, it was. Bro. Yeah, it was. I mean, the 90s, the music in the 90s is like uncomparable, bro.
All right, top two off of that one. My Life. Top two.
I have to go with My Life. One, man, the other one, I don't know. It's so many, dude. Like that whole album was a burner, bro.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I don't know if it was like number 14. I don't know. That No One Else joint was my joint. No One Else.
No One Else was cold. No One Else was cold.
Yeah, that was my joint too. Yeah, man.
We used to just vibe.
Yeah. Music, just vibe, man. Good music.
Good vibe. Yeah.
Good music. Good music.
That was Andrew Scoggin, then D-Tav. That was D-Tav years, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, who was in Gannett again? I forgot who was over there in Gannett.
Oh man, that was a lot of the basketball players were in Gannett. Shout out to the UMaine class of '93. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, yo, we had some memories.
Long time, Virgin. Long time.
No doubt, no doubt.
Well.
So let's get back into this. So you're talking about physical health. Let's talk about mental health and spiritual health. What do you do to keep yourself in mental health and sound spiritual health?
Write, read, meditate. I be by myself a lot. It's crazy. It's like just being in solace. Sometimes it's just vibrating, Bridget, because you know what? There's so many different things that could come at you so many different ways, and you can internalize things. You know what I mean? And I've always been a person that I'm very expressive. Like I'm not gonna bite my tongue when for most time I might apologize because I probably say too much, right? But it's like, just growth. And like, you know what? Like, that's even worth it. You know what I'm saying? It's not even worth in that sense. Like, what? Okay. A lot of times I say my kids keep me grounded. My babies keep me grounded. Because I know each decision can have an effect on them, whether it's positive or a negative way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that's like my world. So it's like, okay. So it's about growth, man. You know what I mean? It's about growth, man. Yeah. And just trying to understand that you try to deflect certain things and try not to internalize it. And understand, like, being the strongest soldiers, we get the strongest battles, man. We got to deal with the most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if it's not, I'm always trying to find a way to where it don't affect me. You know what I mean? And if it's something that I'm holding on to, I put it down, pen and paper. I write and I express it. You know what I mean? And that's something like I think a lot of people should really do. Like have an outlet. Music is my outlet. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like some people are like it's my all and everything. When I tell you I love music. But if that love for music, as long as me and music is together, like I'm good. I hear a track of some creative, something come, we just created something. I'm a creator. Something just came to me an idea and I just put it in word and I just made it into a song. Like what? Like I'm what? like we got the creator, we gods, we got the creator of life and death, just like the tongue in our mouth.
Yes, sir.
And you know, our creativity is what keeps this afloat. Our creativity is what keeps this afloat. So it's like, you know, I know when things come the way, I know it's like, all right, this is the way the creator is like, okay, it's my soldier. I need to sharpen the swords. So I take it like that. You know, keep pushing through because you're being observed even when you don't think you're being observed.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, I'm gonna stand on mine is how I always am. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. My face is not different on different sides. I'm gonna be the same way me and you have a conversation. It's the same I'm gonna have a conversation. This is just me. And I love when brothers bring new information. I love when brothers bring something new to the table, you know, and it really gets you going to start thinking. Like, you know what? This brother had this situation, he dealt with it this way. So sometimes you could even learn from situations just by having conversation or even observing something like, damn.
Right.
Dude approached it this way, and that was the result of it. So it's like, you know, don't always have to go repeat the same steps and same mistakes that somebody else make when you can learn from their mistakes. You know what I mean? So just being observant and trying to deflect the things that you deflect and control what you can control. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stay in your lane too, you know what I mean?
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
Not chasing nothing.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. Just live.
That's rich. So you mentioned music, and this is something that is your outlet. This is something that is your passion. When was your first album released, man? Like, and what was that experience like for you? And I know it was a contribution to consciousness, and I know it was a contribution to the survival of our people, the survival of the art, you know, because we was purists when it came to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? When we go back and we look at the 93 era, when we came into like, you know, our young adulthood, right? Now we had our ways, you know, we had our ways, but we dealt with the culture. You know what I'm saying? We always dealt with the culture. Like what has like your contribution to the culture? Like what sparked that, and then how do you keep that fire burning as Fire Uriah?
It's a love. It's always been a love. I fell in love with hip hop.
Yeah.
So like when I first heard it, it reminded me like I was in Jamaica, like my DJ. Because in Jamaica it was the same thing to me, like the DJ. I come from Jamaica, you're yellow man a DJ, you're the money a DJ. And you come in and you're hearing a rap, and you're like, all right, it's like similar to that. To come to find out, you know, Jamaica contributed a lot to that hip hop.
Cool Herc, baby.
You see me? I said, for real.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just always something that's always been in me. Like,
yeah.
The family's been around music. Like, I remember when I was younger as a boy in Jamaica, I used to hear about Jimmy Cliff. It's like my pop's cousin, right? So, like, he did music in the area. He was on TV and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so then I'm in America. There was a group called Exodus Supreme. I remember when I was a little boy, I used to be in a basement. They used to practice. You know what I'm saying? I used to hear the bass and all that. So while they downstairs practicing, I'm upstairs vibing to my little vibe that I'm vibing to. You know what I'm saying? Trying to do my little thing. So to me, it was always like a love for music, and it just the feeling is a certain feeling. There's like certain songs and certain things, but there's like a certain feeling, a certain vibration, and it's just love, man. So for me, it's always been love. You know what I mean? It's like one thing, as you go older, you learn more about the business end of it. You know what I mean? Where in certain aspects you weren't familiar with certain ways how to move in certain ways, especially when you're not a person that's moving with a whole crew of everybody. You know what I mean? Right. Like I've always been a like move by myself kind of way, but you know, I have my peoples that are my peoples. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like really, I wouldn't say I'm the most trying to be all up in your face type of dude. I'm not that. I'd rather be in the cut, but you know what I mean? But I love creating music. So kind of a sense of like, you know, you got to be out there. And I'm not really chasing a sense to that, but I've always made music to where it's like, you know.
You got your air lights, man. You always gonna have your air lights.
It's me. Yeah, man. I don't like, you know what I mean? It's like, I see some people who like are really talented, man. You know what I mean? That I've come across, I've worked with in the past, like really talented, man. And it's like, you see the game and you see the games that's played in that. And I'm like, the certain games I can't see myself playing. Like
Yeah.
I can't play the game of what comes along with trying to be in the industry. I'm not an industry dude. Like, I couldn't see myself being and playing that game. You know what I mean? And the politics, and I'm not really big on politics. I hate politics. Like, all that, I'm not really big into all of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you can get to the point where I have the freedom to create whatever I want to, I say whatever I want to, ain't nobody telling me I can't say this. Some of these dudes, they sign and you never hear them again. They sign to these labels and you don't hear no music. You don't see them getting pushed to nothing because now they don't own none of their music. Nobody owns none of my music. From the first day I started till now, to the first one I recorded till now, nobody owns my music. That's you know what I'm saying? Literally. And I'm like, yo, if I could take something out that I did 10 years ago and you wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? So I just create. I just love creating. And so for me, it's more of a thing like, when I leave this planet, my grandkids, my great grandkids gonna be able to hear my voice. That's generational right there. The value of that, value of that to somebody sitting around talking about your grandfather now. If somebody like Marcus Garvey is like, they could hear his voice, you know what I mean? You hear him speaking. Imagine how powerful that is to know that's your grandfather, something like that, and you hear him speaking. You know what I mean? And you can see an image of him. So like, to me, it's like leaving something that's deeper than whether or not this person messed with me or that person messed with me, or it's just like I'm creating. How it goes is how it goes. You know what I mean? But as I learn, I'm learning the business aspect of it. Like, you know, I own all my music.
Right. That's righteous.
I'm telling
you. Yeah. Yeah. We're wrapping this up. We're getting close to this hour, brother. This is a kind of just a comprehensive question. What would you say are the top 3 things as a people that we need to be paying attention to or doing at this hour?
Land, food, self-defense.
Okay. Expound on those for us. Expound on those. Just, I know you kind of touched on them before, but just give a moment to like kind of, you know, elaborate.
Having land where you have your own land, good quality soil where you could grow your own food, where you could defend that land and protect that land. So having our own community, having our own communities where we could trade the food amongst ourselves, live amongst ourselves, educate ourselves. You're telling me we have different people in so many different levels, very educated. We have people in all different fields that could do some type of apprenticeship or pass on this information on. There's a way this information could be passed on within the community where we can have these communities, because other communities have a community within the community and they thrive. But we're the only one that don't seem to do that. We don't seem to understand that that will be beneficial. And we can't do that unless we have land. You can't, somebody else own the land. You can't really do what you want to do on the land. So we need land, okay? Right. Food, you need to know where your food's coming from. So being able to have the ability to grow your own food so you can be able to feed your family is very important. Because now with genetically modified food and everything else, what's inside the food, you don't know what's inside the food. You don't know what you're consuming. So like we go back to health, we talked about health. That's very important that you know the food that you're putting in your body. So being able to grow our own food is important. That the land was also connected to that. And then being able to defend that land, because you know we've had places where we've been successful and had land where it's been either bombed, taken away, right? So all this holding hands and singing hymns and all that, it's good. Like I understand, but at the end of the day, man, basic instinct is survival, unless you're not a man, you know? And at the end of the day, we have to make sure we take care of ours, whether they want to be taken care of or not. It's our job, it's our duty. Yeah. So it's better we unify in order to do that, because at the end of the day, it's about our survival. There's certain areas that people are struggling with the crazy laws and mandates and things that they got going on. You know, you can't go here, can't do that, and you don't have a card. What's this, Nazi Germany?
Close. We getting there, brother.
You know what I mean? And people gonna keep sitting around and accept it because it keeps happening slowly and slowly. They keep taking and taking and taking. There ain't nothing gonna ever be given back. But it's that frauds in the pan. Those who are aware, man, you just do the best that you can do. You try to get like-minded people that, you know, and just try to make changes as best as you can. But at the end of the day, nobody can save nobody else. Every man got to man up and either save yourself, get with like-minded people. If you can't find like-minded people at the end of the day, prepare yourself as best as you can.
Yeah.
You know, and just live your life and treat people good and try to live right. You know, stay in your lane. Don't try to get in anybody else's lane. Just live your life, man, you know?
Yeah, undeniable.
You know?
So if someone wanted to support you in your music or listen and check out your music, how can they check out Fire Uriah?
They can go to anywhere, type in Don Pen. The last joint that I did was called Don Pen. I got that on, you can get that from Apple Music. You can get that from Amazon, wherever you can get that from.
How you spell that? Somebody may not, how would you spell that?
DANPEN, Don Pen.
Okay,
Don
okay.
Pen.
Okay.
I got on Bandcamp, I got a joint up there. I forgot what I have my Bandcamp set up as. I think it says but if you put in my Bandcamp, I got Fire Uriah as well. So you type in Fire Uriah Bandcamp, it'll pop up. I'm also on I did a joint called Black Talmudine.
I remember that.
Yeah, so that's still like up. You can go and get that information. You look that up, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's like this. The new music that I've been working on over this pandemic, this time I've been writing this a lot of material. So right now I'm just gathering my things together, how I'm gonna let people hear what they hear. You know what I mean? But
okay.
Definitely, you can definitely go support still with Don Pen, because I ain't really get the support that I thought I would have got on that. But it's like I said, I'm not one that's looking for any particular number or anything out. I'm just looking for the information to share my music, share my information. And those who support, go and support. You know what I mean? What I definitely think we need to do though is like as a group of people, or get people together that's gonna try to really get some land and start coming up with plans in the event of people need to move and be able to support each other and be support systems for each other, because everybody can't do this by themselves. So that's
21st Century Underground Railroad.
Man, listen, I would also want to shout out a sister named Sydney Ashby as well. She does she has a thing called OTW Tube as well. I want to shout her out, who also presents information that's not censored. So I want to shout sisters out. So us being able to have places where we can share and we can have conversations without it being filtered is also very important. So salute. And I want to thank you for the time, my brother.
Man, much love, brother. I thank you for coming on and sharing, you know, some of your insights and your wisdom and experiences. It's always good to see your face, man, to rap with you and build. But that's all we do, man. That's how we did. That's how we gonna continue to do. Even though we may have times where there's, you know, no communication, we don't skip no beats, brother.
Likewise, brother. You know how it is, man. Yeah. You know, it's love. It's this love for my brother is real, man. And like those brothers who I connected with, though we shared our experiences, or experiences that was shared, there's a bond there. You know what I mean? So I want to shout out all my brothers, all my old roommates. You know, shout them all out.
You man, right? So many brothers.
Carter.
D. Carter, Todd Williamson, Ramit,
you know what I'm
Greg
saying?
Archie,
Everybody.
James Rice, man,
Everybody,
Scott Tracy. The memories.
Yeah,
yes,
man. Everybody.
So, man,
and the cool coaches, that was cool.
Man, Coach Fraze, Coach Brooks, the upperclassmen that hated us.
Man. Yeah, brother.
Oh, the Rolex, he was wild, bro. That was love, though. That was all love. That was all love.
Man. All love, man. Brother.
No
doubt. You be blessed. You and your family and everybody. A prosperous fake New Year, even though the New Year's in March. Man,
2022 blessings. You know what I mean? For sure.
Blessings.
Yes, sir. Want to thank our listeners for shifting paradigms. Thank Baba G, KUAW, BFTAA. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. We got another interview coming up. We got Kansas City Black United Front leadership. We're going to be talking about mobilization, paradigmatics, and what they're doing for Kansas City to make sure that we are, you know, secure as a people. Well, this is again B. Michael signing off. Peace and power. Shalom, shalom. Shifting paradigms. We're out.